Hello. And welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 436. I am Laura, also known as Lala.
You sound very devious, like there are more surprises than you. I'm Leslie, also known as You Won't Call Me Lass.
I'm filled with surprises.
Today is Thursday.
I'm a piñata of surprises.
April the 18th. I feel like you're a piñata of nightmares. This is usually a knitting show. Apparently,
or a piñata show.
Apparently today we've decided that we are stand-up comedians because we are so funny.
Every day, not just today.
This is true. But anyway, yeah, it's storming crazy earlier today.
And then it wasn't raining at all when I came over.
Yeah, but it's
I took my
supposed to
trash
rain
cans
again.
to the curb, yeah. And it's supposed to rain my whole trip to Knoxville.
Mm. I hear
So
that
that'll
the
be
cool
fun.
kids just leave at midnight.
My coworkers are trying to convince me that I should be sleeping right now and leave at midnight because the only people on the road then are truck drivers. This is not encouraging me to leave.
Yeah.
And then I could get to my parents' house by, like, if I leave at
Breakfast.
midnight, I could get there at breakfast. But then I would sleep all day, so why does it matter?
Plus,
Like,
you'd miss House of Yarn.
I would miss House of Yarn.
I doubt they're going to open at 3 in the morning just for you.
I mean, they might.
I mean, you are an
We
it
could
girl,
have a slumber
but...
party, a House of Yarn slumber party. No, I'll probably be at House of Yarn around 10:30 tomorrow. I'm probably going to leave around 7. Because they don't open until 10. I've already scoped this out.
I know you have.
So
since this is a knitting show, would you like to talk knitting?
can I get to the end of this row, or do you have a
I'm
row?
in the middle of a row
Okay.
also, but it's just... There's nothing special about this row as compared to any other row, so I can talk briefly if you would like.
My row has yarn overs.
Mhm. It's
Fancy. It's a fancier row than your row.
So I am knitting an Olga Borrelia Kefalion pattern. Olga Jazzy is her Ravelry name.
She's going to be teaching at SSK.
Borrelia Kefalion. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So this is called the Sakasama jacket. Sakasama means upside down, I believe, in Japanese. It is a very loose, drapey cardigan sort of shrug that you can wear regular or upside down or inside out.
Kind of like what you're wearing today.
Yeah, sort of. To get different looks. And I'm using the recommended yarn from the pattern, which is a rare thing.
Well, it would be a hard yarn to replace.
This is true. It would be very difficult to substitute. And it's on metal needles, so like and it's a rayon with viscose, and it just wants to just jump off the needle. So
have you thought about changing to wooden needles?
I'm not going to do
Okay.
that.
Leslie doesn't like wooden needles.
Yeah, I just don't. So it's just, it's just a piece of stockinette right now. Nothing super fancy. I have started the neck edge increases. I'm only a couple into that.
What is this?
That is a splice, my friend.
That is a knot. Oh, I am not on board with that.
My Progress pig is actually a Progress confetti thing.
Oh, yes, from Tilting Planet.
Yeah, it's this little...
She put up some pretty yarn this week.
like stitch marker with confetti in it, which is cool. Laura got one for me. This is where I was last week, so I've got about 4 or 5 inches of progress since last week. It's hard to tell because this yarn drapes.
Yeah.
Like it's like, a toddler throwing a tantrum. Just
Yeah. It
just
goes limp.
dead weight. So that's really the only thing I'm working on. I do still have the indigo shrug on the hook because I'm crocheting like the cool kids.
Yeah.
But I just haven't had a lot of time to work on it this week.
And what yarn is that out of, that shrug?
Shajeepe's Whirl. It's SCHJEEPES. I got it from loveKnitting.com because they had a sale. And it's a cotton 4-ply that slowly gradiates from one color into a totally different color. So it is my first time trying to do crochet lace, which is really just like fancily done chain stitches that are tacked down in different places.
Kind of like a granny square?
Sort of, but instead of like nice uniform same stitch every time, it's it's a lace pattern, so it sort of changes. It's one that I haven't crocheted a garment ever, but I also haven't crocheted anything larger than a 10-inch square in forever.
Right?
I sort of started one, but never finished it. So I mean, I have done crocheted blankets before, but it's been a long time since I finished one. Since before I started knitting, so.
Oh wow.
I'm done filling time for Laura, so she can now talk.
She was very good at waiting till I got to the end of that row with my increases. I am knitting on the Passing Shower sweater.
And we didn't see this last week, right? This is the first?
No, this is the third week of it.
No, it's not.
I think it is.
That is a lie. What was it, like teeny tiny last week?
It was, so the first week it was just the garter.
Okay, well,
and then the second week it was like 2 repeats in, or 3 repeats in.
This just shows I don't listen to anything you say.
This is the third week, I promise. I feel like that's true. Maybe it's just the second. I don't know. Now you have me doubting myself. It was already in the show notes, so it's at least the second. So it's a sweater. It's top down. It's raglan, and the raglan increases have these cool pearl hairs in between them, but they also have a garter ridge that's happening.
That's cool.
And then the back also has a garter lace, which kind of reminds me of that other sweater that I knit, Grace, which was also out of Plucky. This is out of Plucky Sweater in the Skies of November colorway. And I'm alternating skeins to make it more uniform. I have 5 total skeins. They're like 270 yard skeins, so the sweater calls for like around 1,300 yards in my size, and that's about what I have. I don't know. I must have only been able to get that many skeins. So yeah, it's going well. I think that's the second knot I've come across, though. It is. So that doesn't make me super happy. But that's like 1 knot per skein, so it's not terrible. It's gonna be pretty when it's done. It's an open sweater, and then this lace detail stops after I hit 13 repeats. I just did the 9th. And then it's just stockinette, and then it repeats at the bottom. So it's more intentional. So that is the first thing on my needles, and that's on size 5 TheKnitGirlls, my interchangeables, because I like wooden needles, unlike some people. And then the other thing I have on the needles, this was finished last time, right?
I think you were Kitchenering it.
I did. I finished it on the show. So I have Rose City Rollers. This was the first one. I added a little bit of height to my roll, so I think it's only supposed to be like 1/2 inch or something before you start the heel flap, but I added like 1.5 inches. And the second one is on the needles. I was working on this as I got my oil changed to my car on Tuesday or Monday, one of those days. So yeah, and that's being knit on size 0s over 64 stitches. And yeah, there's this much of the second ball and still this much of the first ball. So I think I'll be able to get like another mini pair out of that, because she's got a kid's version as well. So those are the 2 things that are currently on my needles. The only 2 things.
You have a finished thing though, right?
I do, but I don't have it with me because I already mailed it.
Oh, okay.
But I do have pictures up on Ravelry. So I knit the 2D Fruity hat by Miriam Pike. It is a hat that the brim of it has a detail, like a slip stitch detail. It kind of looks like a cable that's repeated 6 times, and then it's just stockinette to the top. I knit that out of Malabrigo worsted in the, I think it's orchid color. No, hollyhock colorway. To match the scarf that I just finished. And both those were mailed on Tuesday to their intended recipient. And hopefully she'll get that soon. So, those are all gone. But you finished something.
Well, I sort of refinished something.
Yeah.
Also, because I haven't said it, and somebody will probably ask what I'm wearing, is the Go With The Flow wrap. It's a brioche. It's essentially a shawl, a really big shawl that's tacked down on the sides to itself. That's really all it is. Which, you know, I say lovingly because I like it and I wear the crap out of it.
It's brioche, yeah.
I've been wearing it pretty much every day, like at work.
And it's out of Amy Florence yarn, right?
It is. It's out of Stranded DK in the flower crown color. She is doing pre-orders for sweater lots now. I don't know when the next pre-order thing will go up, but I'm sure all the details are on the site. So that's this, but what I refinished was my Pavement Sweater. So this is knit out of Two Guys Yarn Company Tweedy Toes in the Bordeaux colorway. So it's 85% BFL and 15% nylon. The nylon is like the Tweedy bits. So what I did on this one was the sleeves were too tight when I knit them the first time. So, sorry, my computer's decided that it's much more interested in showing me an error. So I reknit it, reknit the sleeves because it's a top-down raglan, and I pulled the sleeves out up to the armhole, and there's plenty of space with just the armhole, so I knew that, you know, I didn't have to rip out the whole sweater. Yay me. But I'm still unhappy with it because... Is that an end that needs to... Yeah, okay, that needs to get tacked in. I didn't sew that down. Because of the way the shoulders sit. So, in a typical raglan, when you do increases... So let's do it on the side. So in a typical raglan, when you're doing increases, you're going to go from sort of the shoulder in a diagonal line towards your armpit.
That's what's happening right here. This is a sleeve.
But the way that this sweater is designed, you increase much more rapidly than you do for a raglan.
It's almost like a saddle shoulder.
It's sort of a weird... Hybrid, yeah. And I don't find it flattering on me. It looks great on the model. It looks great on hundreds of people who've knit it. I just don't like the way that it goes not out straight, but sort of out at like a 25-degree angle instead of like a 45-degree angle. I'll try it on and show you guys which side's the back. This one's the back. So I'm going to have Laura try it on later. If it looks good on her, it's hers. If it doesn't, it'll go to Knit Night. If it's anybody there who loves it, it's theirs. And if that doesn't work, then it'll go to SSK in the try it on room. And maybe I'll make a trade there.
For some yarn.
Yeah. Or another garment or something. So.
See, I don't think that looks bad at all on you.
I just really dislike the way that it comes out. I just don't feel like it's flattering. Maybe it's the size of my chest versus the proportion of my shoulders. I just really dislike it. So,
see, I don't think it looks bad at all.
Anyway.
But that's not important. What's important is that you like it. So.
And again, it looks great on tons of people who have knit it. So it's clearly not a problem in the pattern. It's just, you know, sometimes you think things are going to look one way in your head and then they look very different on your body. That's one of the reasons we love the try it on room at SSK, because you get to, with absolutely no effort in making a garment, you get to try it on
and see how it fits.
Yeah, which is a rare thing in a handmade environment. What else did I have to say about that? I really liked working with this yarn. I'll definitely get it again at some point.
Yeah, we might see them at Stitches United, I think.
Yeah. And Jean and David of Two Guys. And they'll be at SSK as well. SSK, by the way, is an annual knitting retreat that Laura and I host in Nashville, Tennessee. It's in the third weekend of July, usually.
Yep, usually around the 17th.
And that's pretty much all I got. I haven't spun any this week.
But you spun last week. You're working on the
It's still
Deviant Kraken.
the same.
I spun some this week.
You were spinning something gorgeous last night.
Oh, well, this is not that, but it's in that bag. So this is Hello Yarns Patchwork Kit. So it's like a pound of odds and ends of different colors. This end is all yellow because I am really awesome at filling bobbins. And this end is all brown because, again, really awesome at filling bobbins. But there's like a blue section in here. And I kind of try to fade it where one section is going into another. So actually at the very bottom of this, there is brown. There's like a Romney. And then I have 2 silk blends. And then what I'm spinning right now has some silk in it. So yeah, I'm trying to get at least an ounce spun a week. So this is around 4 ounces. Probably around 3 actually. And then I'll chain ply and create a jumbo pound spin that hopefully will be a sweater at some point. And so that is what I am working on, and I'm spinning that on my ladybug. Yeah, so
you guys are just gonna have to deal with my giant fat arms because it's too warm up here.
But it's not warm outside because it's raining.
Yeah,
and it got all cool again. I guess cool subjective, but it's cooler than it's been.
Yeah. As far as reading, let me have like a novel's worth, haha.
I do not.
To talk about. So I finished this week on audiobook Salt Magic Skin Magic, which was interesting and good. It was a male sort of fantasy set in maybe the early 1900s or late 1800s. They never say a year. It was good. I'd try other things by that author, but I think that's the only thing that Lee Welch had out there. And then yesterday I listened to We Should All Be Feminists by, I apologize in advance, by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It is like an hour long, so it's really short, and it was, reasonably priced. I want to say it was like $6 or $7 on Audible, and it was really good. It's a very sort of shallow dip into culture and how feminism affects different people in different cultures, and like I said, intentionally it's a very shallow dip in the pool, but I wanted to start with something not super heavy. It was very good. I am also listening to, from the library, by Nora Ephron, a book called I Feel Bad About My Neck. She's writing, I want to say she's in her 50s at the time of this writing, and it's her reading the book, and it's just talk about like beauty culture as a whole. It's a comedic approach to it. Nora Ephron's written lots and lots of books. And I'm listening to How Not to Blend by Susan Hawk, which is a male-male romance set in like the real world. I'm reading a book recommended by Gwen. It's called Unmentionable, The Victorian Lady's Guide to Sex, Marriage, and Manners by Teresa O'Neill.
How's that going?
It's funny. I actually have to limit myself to a chapter a sitting, or else I would devour it. It's a very, humorous...
Is it fiction or nonfiction?
It's nonfiction. It's like how women in the Victorian times went to the bathroom, and what they did when they were menstruating, and what they had to do in order to get dressed every day. But it's a comedic take on it, so I'm enjoying it. I'm also still reading Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. One of the viewers in our group mentioned that it turns away from the issue of money very soon after the point I was at, and she was right. So I'm still reading it. And I'm starting the second in the Bastion Hollow series called Disobedience. Just got it. Haven't started it. So I'm reading and listening to basically everything.
You are. You have a wide variety in your reading diet.
And this is why I have no knitting this week, basically. But what about you?
I've been reading the Grayson series by Rise Ford. I just finished the second one. I'm not certain I'm going to pick up the third.
I'm surprised you went to the second. Now, this is the one where Kai is a elf, and he tracks down the black dogs or whatever. Yeah, okay. I'm surprised you even went to the second one. Well, I just say that because I haven't. It's very...
It's elf heavy, which you don't usually do.
Well, it's not that so much as it was very political,
dystopian.
It's very about the machinations of people in power, or at least the first one was. So, but if you enjoyed it, I'll try the second one.
Yeah, I have it. I didn't get the whole. I guess there's the whole
because he's creating a new elf court. And there's the grandmother who tortures the guy.
Yeah, I didn't see it so much as a political as... Well, I guess everything becomes political at some point. As a reproductive issue, if that makes sense. Because he's trying to... And the main character is not involved in all this. He's kind of like...
He's an outcast. He's an underdog.
Yeah, he is Fae, Unsee, or Unseelie, or however you say that, and was tortured by his brother and father and managed to escape. And the second one goes more into his history of his family.
Okay.
A little bit more.
That might be interesting.
And it's fantasy.
And when I left it, it was he was being pursued by both the male head of the court and the female head of the guard.
Yes.
Does that continue into the second book?
Yes.
So it's sort of a love triangle.
Yeah, but there's no sex or romance or anything that happens. So I would classify it more dystopian fantasy than anything else because it's post-war. The second one takes place in Vegas, and Vegas has been turned into so when the worlds merged, when the Fae and human worlds merged, it created these pockets of destruction, and so there's dragons, and so Vegas has become one of those pockets of destruction. So they have to go there, and they're looking for artifacts to help with reproduction for the Fae, and that's not what they find. Spoiler. But yeah.
So enough about our weird reading habits.
Yeah. I'll be at Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then we'll both be at Stitches United.
Which is at the end of May, 1st of June.
End of May, hopefully. I got jury duty summons for the entire month of May. I have to call in for Federal Circuit Court. So I put, you can put dates that you're unavailable. So I put, Stitches United dates as being unavailable, but who knows?
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll still be able to go.
I mean, it could be that they don't need you at all.
Yeah, which would be awesome because it's 75 miles away.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. You have painted portrait dress written down.
Yeah. So I wanted to... We talked before about garments for SSK, and I wanted to make a couple of garments for SSK, but I also wanted to sew a couple. Nothing super fancy, but,
This is what you were cutting out at my house the other day.
Okay. So I wanted to make a couple of tops. So What's funny is I'm on Craft South's email list. Craft South is a craft shop in Nashville, Tennessee. They do
primarily sewing,
quilting, sewing, some knitting, not a ton, embroidery, rug work, crewel, Crewel. They have a little bit of everything.
But it's owned by a woman who does sewing patterns.
Anna Marie Horner.
Yeah.
So I signed up for their list, I don't know, the first time I went, probably. And they sent out an email a week or so ago with some patterns that they were going to be doing classes on or sewing together as a group or something. And one of them was this painted portrait dress, and I sent the link to my Fat Lady Guru, Amy Beth, and I was like...
Because of sizing.
Right. I was like, do you think this would be worth the time to grade up? Because in Anna Marie Horner's world, the largest person is a 42-inch bust. And I'm sure that's a lovely world, but it's not the one I live in. So I asked Amy Beth, because she's been doing a lot of sewing lately, and I said, do you think this is worth grading up? Is the silhouette flattering and all of that? This is what it is. This is the painted portrait dress. And she replied by sending me a link to an Instagram of hers from over a year ago where she was like, I thought it went well. And I was like, well, hell, I didn't know you had done it. She even did a whole video on how she specifically upsized this particular... Well, she used this as an example, but she was showing how to grade patterns up, which is a great watch. So I've got the fabric for this. I'm going to do solids on the front, some light pattern on the side, and then on the very front panel I'm going to do Alabama Channon style reverse applique with just out of cotton versus jersey. I would have bought a kit from their store, but something in my size would have legit been $500 for like a skirt. And I'm all about extravagances if, to treat yourself, but that, I just couldn't do it. I'd be afraid to ever wear it. So I'm just sort of making it up as I go, which, fun things happen with that. So what I'm doing to grade it up is I'm using this, it's called tracing paper. It's Pellin 830 is the one that I got, which I could get you could get at Joann's. And it's this it's kind of like interfacing, but it's softer. It's kind of like a woven, really light felt, kind of. And so what I'm doing is...
Do you need a hand?
No, I'm just gonna... So I trace out the largest size in the black, and then using measurements of my own body and how the pattern is graded, I grade out to what my size needs to be in the purple, and I just transfer all the markings from the pattern. And then what I'll do is I'll actually baste this together and try it on as a muslin, because it's strong enough for that. I mean, you couldn't like wear it out or anything, but it's strong enough to try on. Whereas like the true paper,
yeah,
I wouldn't trust that. But this is, this feels like a cloth. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing this weekend, since Laura is abandoning me for her parents, who she won't see for what's like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
I've got all the pieces.
I have to go empty their outbuilding.
Yeah.
My parents had a tree fall on my mom's crafting studio.
No one was hurt.
No one was hurt.
All the important stuff can be saved.
Yeah.
But it will be a pain in the butt to empty.
It broke, 4 joists or something?
Like the things that go like this.
Yeah.
And they have to be like custom made, so it's going to be 2 months before they get here.
But they'll be in Alaska, so...
So Laura will be driving to Murrable.
At least once this summer.
To supervise.
With Pearl.
Yeah, I think that's all that I've got. We are doing Clothing Conservation Month.
We are.
Although it's turning into like a month and a half.
I've been washing all my
I saw those in your kitchen. You had them all piled because you were...
sweaters. And then after I washed them, I've been de-pilling them with a gleaner and putting them in storage in like plastic bins to be ready to take to SSK. I should be labeling them before I put them in the bins.
It's probably helpful.
Yeah, I might do that too. I'll have to get the tag cutter from wherever it is. Yeah.
It's probably in a bin in my garage.
Yeah.
You're welcome to go through it. You might come across a bin full of toads, but...
I might just get something else.
Let's see. What else? Stash starts May 24th.
Yep.
And goes through August 24th. So it's a nice, solid, 3 months? June, July, August? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll do a video. We'll put up the voting for new things, new rule changes, anything that you guys want to push as a rule change on the 1st of May. And then I'll close that on like the 10th or 11th or 12th. And then we'll post the new rules on the 15th with our video so that everyone's ready to go.
And Stash, for anyone who's new, is a summer sort of motivational stash down or
finish
thing to get you to finish some things that are lingering. It's a totally voluntary thing. Sometimes we do prizes, sometimes we don't. It's just
your prize is finishing lots and lots of stuff.
This is true. Although it is not uncommon for Laura and I, as we're going through those threads, if we find something that we just think is fabulous, to just send people a gift pattern.
Yeah.
So if you're participating, or even if you're not, you should always have at least a couple patterns on your Ravelry wish list.
Always.
Because you never know when somebody might want to send you a present. So.
Yep, that's true. I think that's about it.
I think so too. I think that it's shorter this week than I expected, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And
we have some new mending books that we're going to look through.
We'll talk about those next week.
Yeah.
I got nothing, so I think we're good. So y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.